this, two creatures lurk behind their microphones to whisper in your ear tales of bone-chilling horror and endless despair. You are listening to Mad Tower Radio.
Hello everybody, welcome to episode 48 of Mad Tower Radio. My name is Dan, and as always I'm joined by my co-hosts Christian and Ryan. And on this podcast we like to talk about ghosts, goblins, ghouls, things that go bump in the night, weird history, weird science, urban legends, anything you might have seen out your back door window that was kind of creepy. Tell us about it, and we'll probably talk about it on this show at some point. Christian, Ryan, how are you guys doing tonight?
You know, I'm doing all right. You know, looking at scary things outside my window. It's funny you bring that up. I saw a crackhead eat a whole cigarette once when I was in Chicago outside my window.
Dan, have you ever ate a cigarette? Someone who's a frequent smoker?
Like Wu-Tang it? No, I'm not cool enough to do that.
Yeah, you think you could throw it a whole cig?
Absolutely not.
Just eat the roach?
Nope.
What brand of cigarette do you think would be the best to throw?
None of them.
Candy
I think.
cigarette.
Yeah, candy. Lucky Lights. Fucking.
It's fucking lame.
Victories, whatever. I don't think eating a cigarette is going to be good, no matter which kind it is.
American Spirit Blues, easy. Dip them in chocolate, suck that bitch down.
Dip it. There
Jesus
it is.
Christ, dude. I wonder if you ate an American Spirit, if it'd take as long as it does to smoke. Like, you got to sit there and just chew it for like 20 minutes, you know?
You have to like chomp on it and it's all
I don't know
soggy.
about you taking them baby drags.
I mean,
dog. Take my man drag.
as you non-cigarette smokers out there might not know, American Spirits burn for a long time. And that's been episode 48 of Mad Tower Radio, your favorite cigarette podcast. And now,
My cigarette review podcast.
let's get into the news, boys. Ryan?
Ryan, I haven't heard that name in years. All right. So I recently went to Europe this past summer. I was on a business trip. No, I'm just kidding. I was there for a destination wedding.
I was like, where's this going?
And I really liked it. I thought, huh?
I was like, where's this going?
So I really. So after the main ceremony and all that jazz, I was in Cardiff, Wales. We went out to this more like rural area called the Brecon Beacons. It's really gorgeous. It's like what you would picture from like a Studio Ghibli movie. And while I was out there, I was walking around at night, and I was like, man, what could be out here? Like, what type of like things lurk in the dark of Europe other than their imperialist history, the dogs? So I decided to look and see what type of European cryptids there were. And this one really interested me because, Dan, you'll like this as a lover of cats.
Oh, yeah?
I was looking at these entities, and there's this thing called the Beast of Exmoor. Now, what the Beast of Exmoor is essentially a puma or a leopard. Now, or a puma or a panther. And the reason why, it's like, and this may be like, okay, so what? That's not a cryptid. Those things exist. Now, here's the thing. There's no big cats like that within the United Kingdom. There's none of them there. So, apparently there have been sightings of this giant cat all the way dating back to the 1970s. And I say all the way, even though that's pretty recent. Like, we had cameras and shit back then. People have been saying that they've been seeing it since then. So, like, I think the earliest sighting was even before that. It was like in like the late 1960s. But so what happened with this was at some point in the 1970s, a farmer in South Molton, Molton's just an area in England, it's like a small, like remote farming village. He one day comes into town and he's just like, listen, I have lost hundreds of my livestock. Something is tearing their throats out. So they start going down the list of things, telling this guy, well, do you have like a shepherd dog? Do you have like these things to protect, like protect against wolves and things like that? He's like, no, it's a giant cat. And he's a farmer. He doesn't know like what type. He just says it's a giant cat. It's like a big cat.
Yeah,
Sure.
And so they're like, there's no way. So they run him out, and they say that he's not, and they say he's lying. This poor guy claims to have lost over 100 sheep in the span of 3 months.
Oh, God.
To this.
Oh, my God.
And even back, this isn't like the Stone Ages where, like, You know, it's like if you don't have your sheep, you're going to starve to death. You know, like someone's going to be able to help you out. But still, back then, like this is his livelihood. He's not fucking around. He's lost over 100 of his sheep to whatever this creature is. But no one believes him. Then another townsperson says they were going down by the nearby river and they saw a giant black cat fishing in the water with its paw. Just smacking fish and then eating them, then smacking fish and then eating them. Eventually, so many reports of this from that area started to appear that they offered a reward to bring it back dead. they put a bounty out on the Beast of Exmoor.
Oh my god.
So, and it's kind of crazy because like it's like, okay, that could be anything. You know, and there's no proof. Well, apparently there are like 3 pictures, modern pictures of what people say are this Beast of Exmoor. Now, I have one of them here. And of course, you know, it's blurry. You know, because here in the United States, we're about, you know, like I think like 6 to 70 years ahead of technology in the UK. They still have the wind-up cars.
Sconces.
Exactly. Yeah, like, you know, that's why they have the Lantern Man. Remember the Lantern Man?
Yeah.
He's still big.
Yeah, they don't have the flashlight, man.
Yeah, he's still big over there because of that. So here's the thing. So people were like, maybe this is just a big dog. There's like a giant black wild dog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that also raises a problem of, well, there's no dogs that big out there.
Either way, that's still a problem.
Yeah, either way, there's still some big, giant black furred creature roaming the countryside. Like, there have been cases in Europe of them spotting giant black dogs, giant black cats. At one point, they even said in one part of like the UK, they found someone claimed to have seen a giant black lion. So this isn't the only spot where these like large cats or creatures have been seen. So here's the thing. This goes into, and prior to this, I was bringing up, you know, the puma pard. Some people think that's what it is. They think that some mad scientist kind of deal, they bred a leopard and a puma, and it made this puma pard, and they're like, that's what it is. That's what it has to be. Why somebody thinks that was what it was, I cannot tell you. No one really knows why someone's like, it has to be a puma pard.
The
funny thing about it being a puma pard is the only logical explanation. It's funny because I would sooner believe that it's a hellcat than a puma pard, because puma pards are real. They don't live very long, and they're almost always dwarfs. They're almost always suffer from dwarfism.
Wow.
Just because of the mixing of the animal genes. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
In 1983, there was increased reports of livestock, not only deaths, but sightings of the beast. So the government got involved. The Ministry of Agriculture ordered the Royal Marines to send snipers into the Exmoor Hills.
Yeah, good old boys.
Literally, to go hunt the Beast of Exmoor with high-powered sniper rifles. Now, here's the thing. Some of the snipers, some of the soldiers have been like, yeah, I saw it and I took a shot and the bullet went right through it. Almost like it was a ghost.
Oh no!
You know, and then he was saying, and then the commander of the Royal Marines that was there, whatever sniper commander there was, he's like, you know, it was always one step ahead of us. It had like human intelligence. So people are like, at this point, people start to believe that it's some type of otherworldly creature because bullets don't work on it now. Your 50 cal anti-material shot's just going right through it. There's no way he missed.
Jesus.
But here's the thing: as that was happening, animals were still being killed. Hundreds of animals were dying. So it ends with, you know, there's like some so-called like closure to the story that some people think. You know, the people that are like, sure, skeptoids. They say in January 2009, the body of some beast washed up on the North Devon beach, and they said, that's it. That's the Beast of Exmoor. It wasn't. It was a gray seal. But people like to believe that that's what it was, so they can sleep at night.
That's awesome. It was a fucking seal.
It was a seal. And they're like, it's the Beast of Exmoor. It's a puma pard. But other than that, there has been no real closing to this. It just kind of stopped at some point. So it's funny because if you go to the Exmoor, like their agricultural website, they will tell you like it'll say like, there's a section there for the Beast of Exmoor, but it's under like local, like, you know, folklore and local legends and stuff like that. But it's made such a impact on the area that it's on their official website, which is kind of funny.
Is it like still getting cited today?
I don't know, and I was looking around to see if there's any more. I think the most recent attacks that happened were like in early 2000s. I think 2001. Yeah, animal attacks. Animals are still being killed off.
Damn, bro. Are they sure they got it?
No, I don't think they are. I still think it's around there. Clearly, because this kind of, and like the thing is, and the reason why people are so kind of latched onto it being this type of thing is that there's another kind of entity within the United Kingdom called the Beast of Bodmin Moor, which is also apparently a giant cat. Or what people that's a whole other story of what that could have been. But people were like, "Oh, it's an alien cat."
What?
It's something that's not real. A phantom cat is what they were calling it. Something like that. The Beast of Bodmin Moor leans more into the supernatural, into the more like hellhound kind of thing, where it's like something that is not of this earth, as to where the Beast of Exmoor is more like this might be some type of cryptid. So you kind of get the best of both worlds with this. You get the cryptid side, and then with a similar crease, the Beast of Bodmin Moor, you get the more supernatural side of things, where it's like a ghost or some type of harbinger of doom kind of deal.
What really perked my ears was when you said Black Lion. It just, because isn't the lion like one of the fucking most common symbols on like their houses and shit out there? Like every fucking great house in England,
bro.
British
heraldry is fucking bullshit. They just take. It's so dumb.
Yeah, they really just be throwing anything on there. They'd be like, "Oh yes, house."
They also put unicorns on there too.
Exactly.
Has there been a unicorn sighting?
That Gundam series sucks.
The UK, probably.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I'm just kidding.
They like want to steal clout and put St. George's Dragon on their heraldry too.
And their family has like nothing to their name. They're like, yes, we have the Dragon of St. George on the front of our crest.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is like an ecology story. You can learn a lesson about importing non-native wildlife
and letting them run rampant in the marshes of the UK.
Eat your sheep and your Welsh hunting dog.
I think it was him. I think that the farmer is actually it. I think he turns into some form of creature at night, and he's
a were-puma,
and he uses his I was gonna say something really bad, so I'm not gonna say
it. You could say it. I'll beep it if it's too much.
I was gonna say, and he uses to like.
Yeah, I think that's gonna stay on the floor.
that shit's not making. You're gonna get like 10 seconds of.
The next thing they need to hear is like, yeah, that's not making it.
That's not making it on the.
That is a good theory, though. I would believe that, actually.
See, I'm glad I have it, in my mind, because I was there. I absorbed the knowledge of the land around me. Rangers lead the way.
Are you ready for it? I'm ready for it.
So
I brought
hit me with it.
The one, I brought MK Ultra. Now, specifically, you guys know that meme where it's making fun of Jim Morrison of The Doors, talking about how he's just shitty CIA music? Okay, well,
yep.
I would see that meme and I would be like, where do the dots connect? So I endeavored myself to find out how you draw a line from MK Ultra to Jim Morrison, and it's actually pretty nuts. So, first we're going to start with MK Ultra, and let me tell you that it is exactly what you think it is, and exactly what the urban legends say. Right? It was just this large-scale, huge experiment to basically see if they could use drugs, all sorts of drugs, mainly LSD though, to find both practical and covert and military uses for this drug. And they would combine them, they would dose people with it, and then they would try to combine it with stuff like hypnosis and other tests and shit that they would have people run while they were under the effects of LSD. And they would just record the results. But it just kept getting out of hand. right? They were trying to use it as a truth serum, trying to use it as a defector serum. They were trying to use it for memory loss, amnesia, complete programming, and then even things as mundane as like drugging a public official with it before they go out on stage, so they look like a shitty public official, so they look bad. Yeah, they would dose everybody with it like for multiple days in a row. They'd do it without your knowledge or consent. They would put you in fucking weird ass situations while you were on LSD. Like, there's cases of just like Joe Schmo CIA agents showing up to work on Monday. You know, they get their coffee like they do every Monday, and your boss put fucking LSD in it and is watching you.
What?
Oh my god.
What the fuck? That's
yeah, dude.
crazy.
Yeah, you're sitting there right now, and I bet you're thinking like, this checks the box for every Cold War conspiracy ever, and it's because this is the first one. This is the father of it, dude. It's insane.
The progenitor.
There's a fuck ton of supposed famous victims of MK Ultra. No, like Ted Kaczynski was reportedly a victim of MK Ultra. Charles Manson, bunch of fucking famous singers.
I think some other things are going on with Charles.
I think Charles. I think they tried and it didn't work on Charles.
Yeah, it's crazy. They would do a hypnosis, a style of hypnosis along with the LSD called psychic driving, right? And psychic driving fucked me up when I read about it. It's so you subdue the patient with a concoction of paralyzing drugs, right? And then you strap them in a chair and you subject them to hours and hours of a single looping audio message that's like short, like a phrase or a word, and you just you dose them, you paralyze them, and you fucking press play and I guess record results. And the goal of psychic driving was deconstructing, like an attempt to deconstruct and reconstruct their
like personality, I guess.
Psyche, personality, psyche.
Whoa, that's fucked.
Oh, dude, it's fucking crazy. Like it hits everything, man. It hits everything. I was reading more about the Ted Kaczynski stuff, how he's connected to MK Ultra, you know. Yeah. And apparently, while he was in college, he just needed money, did what every college kid does, sign up for a fucking thing, or sign up for a study, go give plasma. So he fucking signed up for a study, and this is where they theorized that it might have been, MK Ultra, because it was like an argumentative study, I guess, where like they would have, they'd basically have the patient fill out what is essentially a dossier for the fucking, for the CIA people to look at, the testers to look at, and it's got all your information, like basically everything someone would need to know to like be your friend, I guess. Yeah. And then they would give you a position that you were going to argue, like friend. This was an argumentative study, and then they would just come in and just fucking rip you to shreds and just like attack you personally and just like berate you for like hours at a time. Just come in there and just be like extremely fucking horrible people to this guy, and then just leave and be like, all right,
they just walk in there and torch you and then walk out.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds dumb when you put it that way, like, oh yeah, big scary test, but like, if you consider all the psychological factors that were probably going into it, like he's probably surrounded by these fluorescent lights that are doing that buzz, probably leaving him alone in the room for like 3 hours before somebody even comes to talk to him,
Oh yeah, that's standard ops.
Yeah.
Let him sit and boil.
When you encompass the whole thing and look at the whole picture, it's a lot more than someone just walking in the room and being mean to you. It was like coordinated, premeditated, like attack. And a lot of people think that like, and he spent like 200 hours like returning to this study.
That's so fucked.
Yeah, it's just wild. They were just dosing people left and right. Like, they didn't even give a shit, man. Like, the CIA was running fucking crazy. They specifically said that they were looking to administer people with LSD, like mental patients, drug addicts, prostitutes, and prisoners. Or broke students, right?
Yeah. Holy hell.
So now, I did say that this connects to the music industry, all right? So, have you ever heard of Laurel Canyon?
Laurel, yeah, I feel like
It's
Laurel
a
Canyon.
area out in California.
Is this the... This isn't like the Elder Grove
No,
Cult of
it's
the
not
Owl
Bohemian
thing, is it?
They're
Grove
somewhere
stuff,
else.
No.
they're on the other side of the mountain.
Ah, okay.
No, Laurel Canyon's just like a ritzy neighborhood in fucking California. Right outside of LA, actually. Holy shit. So, the Air Force is out there with their... And the Air Force always names their fucking units the weirdest shit. The Air Force's 1,352nd Photographic Group. Yeah, you want to tell me what the basic function of that unit is just from the name?
Take pictures?
I guess. But, so the 1352nd Photographic Group has a base in Laurel Canyon, and this is the most Fallout shit ever, called Big Mountain Lookout, right? And, all these people live in Big Mountain Lookout, Laurel Canyon, you know, all these high-ranking Air Forcers, military people, CIA, you know, they all work at Big Mountain Lookout. And they have a little community in Big Mountain Lookout, and they all have kids, and their kids go to school together, right? And so all these famous musicians all happen to come out of Laurel Canyon. Frank Zappa, who I'm not totally familiar with, but John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, I like them. Jim Morrison of The Doors, our star for the show.
Thank you, Jim.
David Crosby, they all lived in Laurel Canyon at some point in their lives. Now, we were talking earlier about a one Admiral Morrison.
No way.
The
Yes.
father of a one Jim Morrison. Ryan, you don't have to keep this a secret. You can tell everybody.
Oh, I'll talk to you later.
I wanted to say bye to you. I just didn't want to keep going and have you disappear.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yes. I have to step out,
Bye,
everybody.
Ryan.
But this has been great. Continue on.
See ya.
So the Admiral.
Admiral.
Morrison, right? Fucking star-studded military career. All right? Navy.
Did he serve in anything spectacular?
Oh, he served in some very spectacular things. One known as the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not only involved in... I mean, he kind of, like, did it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Our man, Admiral Morrison, was, like, really, really down for the U.S. government. He was really, really down for the Vietnam War. He said, fuck it. You know?
Safe to say he didn't like the communists?
Oh, I think it's very, very safe to say that he wasn't down with the Reds. All
Okay.
right, so he, you know, he's the main man, right? He's fucking Admiral Morrison, you know? He won us the fucking war, or he started us the fucking war, you know? Which, I mean, depending on where your interests lied, that was either really great for you or not so great. But I think that Admiral Morrison pleased more people that the Vietnam War benefited than he pissed off more people that it didn't benefit. Right? So, he lives in Laurel Canyon. His son goes to school there, you know. And I don't know what his direct involvement with the 1352nd Photographic Group was, but they were at Big Mountain Lookout. Okay? And you're probably able to do the math yourself from this point, right? But the theory is that at Big Mountain Lookout, the CIA was running some kind of MK Ultra experiment to basically manufacture hippie culture, right? Conspiracy theorists pose that at Big Mountain Lookout, they were taking all these people that were the sons and daughters of high-ranking military officials. And, you know, I think it's important to consider someone like Admiral Morrison, who was clearly down to do what it takes for God and country, you know.
Forgotten country.
You know, like if someone comes to him and says like, hey man, we should get little Jim up at Big Mountain, teach him how to play some music, you know, and
tell him to preach the good word.
Tell him to preach the good word. Yeah, he's back home playing Peace Frog while we get more bodies over in Vietnam, you know?
Now I'm seeing it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So the big thing is like that this drug culture, this hippie culture, like all of it was manufactured by the CIA to get people distracted from a serious and armed revolution against the Vietnam War. In protest of the Vietnam War.
I think Nixon was pretty out and open with like targeting hippies just so he could like use them as a scapegoat to crack down on like social unrest and like drugs and shit.
Right. And yeah, no, I know. That definitely did happen, but I mean that just depends on where you want to draw the line as a conspiracy theorist. Like, okay, but was fucking Nixon a puppet on the strings, you know, on a leash from the CIA? Cuz I mean, could have been.
Was he?
You know, a puppet president? Color me surprised, you know. So like I could see it going. Like I could see it going either way. On one hand, this sounds absolutely fucking insanely ridiculous. But on the other hand, like, it makes perfect sense. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the crazy one for seeing something like all these leaked documents and being like, I could believe it. Well, check it out, because I can see it still, right? Because check it out, you manufacture this hippie culture. You manufacture this drug culture. These guys who, you know, they love that segregation got banned. They love that everybody's, you know, playing good music now and fucking doing drugs and having fun for once. And like, it's so easy as the president to be like, those guys are fucking commies. You don't want to be a commie, do you? We're gonna get them. You know, like, sure. You can just be like, look, general American person, that's the enemy right there. We should be supporting the Vietnam War more. You know?
Yeah, wrap that up with a little bit of patriotism, and you got everything you need.
It's just crazy because, like, I mean, do I sound nuts when I say that, like, I would not be surprised if this was real? You know?
No, I don't think you sound nuts.
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the pedestal and be like, "What do you believe MK Ultra? Yes or no?"
Oh. If there's one thing I gotta say on a hot mic is that I pretty much believe any nefarious thing that the United States government has or has not confirmed to have done to its people.
Like, I'm not here to be like, did MK Ultra happen? I'm here to be like, what parts of MK Ultra do we know happened? You know?
Yeah, it's more along the lines of what can we confirm and to what end was it really being distributed.
Oh yeah. And like, don't think that you the listener, please don't think that I'm out here as like an expert. There is so much more to this shit. You could make a whole show just on how far reaching MK Ultra was, you know? Like there's even it even has urban legends within its own urban legend, like things like Polybius. Have you heard of Polybius?
No, who the hell is that a demon?
So Polybius was a fake urban legend video game that was supposedly a branch of MK Ultra that was designed to like program kids as they played it. Oh, hey, you never heard of Polybius? Let me send you a pic. It's actually a very, very cool story, but I am like
the Greek guy who's Polybius.
I am like 8,000% sure that it is like just an urban legend. I don't think it was actually part of fucking
it was actually a MK
yeah,
Ultra
I don't
subplot.
think it was a sanctioned MK Ultra subplot, but it's still fucking cool as shit.
This is a fucking arcade game. Who's fallen for like an NES cartridge trick?
I don't know, but AVGN actually made a very good video on it. He did an episode on Polybius because that's the thing is there's no real Polybius consoles. You know, like people make them because they like the urban legend
as like a joke.
You know.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. Like, you can't find a cabinet anywhere?
Oh, yeah, they're just customs, you know? people haven't found an authentic one. Yeah, no, supposedly, not Men in Black, but like, people just set up this new arcade machine. People started playing it. It was like giving people seizures. It's listed as an urban legend. Like when you Google MK Ultra, it has a real Wikipedia article. When you Google Polybius game, it comes up with like Polybius parentheses urban legend. So this one's pretty like confirmed, not real, but nonetheless, it's a very, very cool story.
I feel like when people tackle the MK Ultra story, and it's such a meaty one, I was very excited to hear that you were bringing it to the show. Like, you have this sort of like, oh, that's such a like dam breaking, I think, conspiracy, because like if you bite on this one and you believe, okay, the United States government is like extracting its citizens to conduct maleficent tests and drugging, and you buy into that, it's just a slope down. Like what else can you believe? What else can you sort of
like? Why would you ever bother paying attention to anything that a governing body says? Like they're either gonna abduct you and drug you, or they're just lying. It
just sort of paints the general state as a maleficent force and a bad actor in pretty much any interaction you could have with them.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And like, there's just so much mundane stuff. It starts with something mundane, right? And then like you're like, wait, the government actually did that? Wait, like there's so much shit. Like, it's like I was already this way before we started the show, but like now that I'm here doing it once a week, once a couple weeks, like I'm finding out so much more shit that was like fucked up. Like, take it all the way back to episode 1. Lyme disease, right? I just decided to talk about that because
the ticks.
I was like, what? There's a conspiracy theory about Lyme disease, and now that I'm reading all this shit, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. The fucking US government was testing bugs as a fucking vector for diseases to be used in a bomb? Are you fucking serious? Like, and this isn't made up? This just happened? I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
I mean, I feel like in general, the sooner you come to terms with the United States government does not have your best interest at heart at any point, just the better you are in life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Is MK Ultra related to the Midnight Climax? Have you heard that one?
I've not heard of the Midnight Climax.
Operation Midnight Climax, I think, is like an MK Ultra-esque experiment where they were using dudes. They were trapping dudes at fake brothels and testing psychedelics on them.
Are you serious? Oh, yeah, right here. Operation Midnight Climax was an operation carried out by the CIA as a sub-project of MK Ultra, a mind control research program.
Yeah, I'd always heard that
50s.
one.
Yep. No, I'd never heard of Midnight Climax. Maybe once or twice, but like, no, I didn't know they were out there drugging people at fucking
Yeah, at like sex shops. I mean, you're only 10 years separated from, the entire like higher German government and Nazi Germany being all amphetamine up. So like heavy drug use in the government is not something you should think is like completely unbelievable.
Well, actually, let me put it even closer in perspective. When were you born?
19.
I have years of separation from the collapse of the USSR. Like,
do you feel some kind of like large generational connection to the collapse of the USSR?
Well, no, I was meant so more like you were like, yeah, that's only 10 years after the Germans were mething out their soldiers, and I'm like, bro, we were born only fucking years after the collapse of the USSR, man. Like, this shit is still around. There's still so much of it that's under the rug or just gone because they destroyed like so many fucking files. The CIA is out there just fucking making bonfires. I imagine every day. I imagine they have full-time positions of guys who just burn documents.
Oh, you're telling me it's not glamorous, like being bathed in the light of the post-Cold War world? You're telling me it's not all magical and sunshine
No,
now
I'm
that we
saying
won?
like it's all still fresh, man. Like there's still shit like
Sure.
you know, it was at the height of the Cold War, and if you didn't know, the Cold War hasn't ended, only in name. You know, and
In what sense?
I mean, the Cold War hasn't ended, man. Look around. You know?
But are you just saying like the world, like big imperialist powers are always going to butt heads, and
It's never gonna chill. You know, like there's still proxy wars being fought in the style of Vietnam. Well, they never stopped. You know, go look at Ukraine and tell me that's just not fucking modern Vietnam.
everyone points? Yeah, you go okay. Next up is China.
Yeah,
And we're just going to continue the same thing with China. Yeah.
oh, the day that they the day that they pulled out of Afghanistan, I was in the office and I was like, man, I wonder what third world country we're going to next to keep the wheels of the military industrial complex turning. And everybody was like, I almost just last named myself. Everyone was like, Dan, you're being a pessimist. All right, come on now.
You're being a pessimist. Come on. Joe Biden would never bomb a third world
And then a
country.
month before I got out, bam, Ukraine. Another proxy war starting up.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have troops on the ground in fucking Ukraine, but I would say we're more than directly involved in this fight, you know? So,
Sure
like,
thing.
guess what, guys? You're still living in the Cold War. If you didn't know that.
So, do you think or suspect there's any modern iteration of a mass, maybe not like biotesting project, but something that you would call or suspect akin to an MK Ultra type project?
If you want my shot in the dark, my general thoughts are probably that it's moved to electronic.
That's exactly what I was
Like,
going to
this
say.
is
It's like
moved to, like,
online, it's like digital.
How to just make someone disappear completely from like all records, probably stuff like, you know, just how to electronically attack someone, how to fucking destroy their resources without having to get up from a desk, you know.
Oh, I interpreted it more as like how to subdue a population.
You
the
mean like
internet
Twitter?
or something? I mean, maybe a little more like subtle than Twitter, but yeah, essentially.
Okay, well, yeah, that too. I agree wholeheartedly.
You've seen the modern anti-riot like sound weapons.
Oh yeah, dude, they got like microwave guns. You know,
Sure,
that like
sure.
they just have brain melting gun. Like that's sitting on a shelf somewhere, dude. I mean, we're still talking about Cold War shit. Remember Havana Syndrome?
Yeah, that's raw Cold War leftovers. I'm eating that shit for lunch.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, man. You got stuff like Radio Free Asia, you know, like
Oh, of
sure,
course.
it's absolutely happening right now. People are trying to figure out how to subdue the masses over IPv6 cables and fucking Wi-Fi.
See, this is the Mad Tower. It's always meant to be. Like, some were like, haha, ghosts, haha, goblins. But then, like, for 25 minutes, I can sit behind this mic and be like, I fucking hate the United States government. Yeah. And MK is a pretty good spotlight, but it's also, like, the conspiracy 101, you know? It's, like, the first thing that you get besides, like, Men in Black and, like, the shitty Illuminati shit.
It is Conspiracy 101. This is, like, the first real one, you know? It's the big one.
I think it's very funny that you got to it. Like, your jumping in point for this was the Doors.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty charming. There are a lot of avenues to get into it, so I was wondering which one you were gonna take.
Well, let me see. I'm gonna send you the meme right now so we can have it on file.
Great.
But you want to hear another interesting little factoid? Here it is.
Absolutely.
I'd like you to take a wild fucking guess at who owns Big Mountain Lookout today. The building.
Big Mountain Lookout. Is it the Department of Defense?
No, it's not. It's privately owned.
Oh? Oh boy, that's so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Is it... Well, see, when you say it's privately owned, only like 3 people own things. Is it Mickey Mouse? Is it Disney Corporation?
It's Jared fucking Leto. Dr. Michael fucking
Why-
Morbius owns...
Why does he have enough money to own anything?
No, dude. But yeah, it is the private residence of Jared Leto. And when I was doing my entry-level research for this, I saw one that was like, some guy was calling out fucking... some guy was calling out Jared Leto, calling him a fucking shitty CIA hack.
Oh, like a psyop
Yeah,
plant?
it's so fucking funny. Let me see if I can find it. And he was like, I'll talk about that. I should have saved the article link, god damn it. But he was really mad about Jared Leto and basically calling him a poser for wanting to for trying to get in the MK Ultra game by buying the business with 30 Seconds to Mars, you know.
No, not 30 Seconds to Mars.
Bro, he thought that Jared Leto was trying to get in on it by with 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's a line here from one of Frank Zappa's songs that says there's a man from the CIA creeping around Laurel Canyon. From his song Plastic People.
Could you imagine living in the 60s where, like, in the free love era, like, psychedelic drugs are on the ups and it's the hip thing? That shit doesn't make any sense to me.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
I watched Midsummer, and now I never want to take a psychedelic drug at all.
Oh yeah, man. Those fucking
That shit
those
sounds
health
horrible.
class horror stories worked on me, bro. Tell you something, man. I am so scared to try a psychedelic, man.
You've been handled well by the DARE program?
Yeah, bro. Sophomore health class, bro. They were like, you're gonna turn into a glass of
not at
orange
all.
juice.
Like, your dad won World War II, and then you come home and it's like 1960 and you're sitting on your fucking lawn and some hippie in a suede jacket's like, brother, you want to take some of this dust that turns you into a moth? No.
If I consider myself in the context of the time, I would probably take it because there wasn't fucking anything to do back then. There was not jack shit to do.
You could go fight in Vietnam. You could go fight in
I
Korea.
might have to do that against my will.
Unfortunately, yeah.
That's just part and parcel of
But
living
you
in
might as well
America.
huff the funny dust.
Might as well, man. I mean, if they said, hey, you're going to Vietnam, yeah, I would be taking every drug under the sun while I still could. Now, I want to leave you with one more thing. Unless you want to keep talking about MK Ultra.
Okay. No, you spill it. I've got one thing as well, but you go on ahead.
Now, Admiral Morrison was the keynote speaker at the decommissioning of his ship, the USS Bonhomme Richard. Terrible name for a ship. But that was the first ship that he was made admiral on, right? The next day, his son died.
Oh? Is that just an unpleasant coincidence? Or
I don't know.
What are you trying to
Is
draw
it an
here?
unpleasant coincidence? Or was the mission over? Who knows, man?
Jim Morrison died the next
Yeah.
day? Oh, Jesus. I mean, dude was a rocker. I'm pretty sure he was probably, a recreational drug user.
Or was he a victim of MK Ultra?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Go look up MK Ultra. MK Ultra's not done on this show. I'll probably find some more good stuff about MK Ultra that'll be topic worthy.
What is an admiral a general of the
Admiral
sea?
is a general of the sea. Yes.
Do you become the admiral of a ship? Is like one ship yours, like your domain, and you're like
I believe you become admiral of a fleet.
of a whole fleet? Okay, you don't get like the capital ship. And
I
that's
mean,
just,
I
like,
think
the
you're on
admiral's
the
ship?
capital ship, and it is yours, but I think you're also in charge of the whole fleet.
Gotcha. So to close out, the only thing I can think in connection with MK Ultra that I think is a valuable insert is if this is the silly, wacky bullshit the United States government would do to its own citizens, just imagine the untold horrors and experiments and shit that it's doing to other nations and other peoples.
Radio Free Asia. Go look up
Like that?
Radio Free Asia.
Because that's when it starts to come out. When you see the shits they're doing in the anti-communist blocks in Malaysia, the Philippines, that shit in Indonesia, like you start to see exactly the kind of tactics and the kind of like reach that these like atrocities can do, and that they're not like afraid to conduct.
And then you go, wow, the Cold War never ended, huh?
Wow. I sure hope we stop living in such exciting time.
Oh, man. Yeah, I could see why you were hesitant to want to do this one way back in the day.
Oh yeah, I thought about tackling it once, and then I was just like, I'm upset. I hate everything.
It's depressing. Like, it starts off as like, what? They were
Ha,
drugging
silly
people
drugs.
with LSD, and then it's like, okay, well, do you believe it happened? Do you think they stopped?
Yeah, you have to like take a very hard like choice where you're like, haha, silly drugs, or bro, the U.S. government does not like you or care about you, and it will use you as a meat puppet.
Yeah, and I assume that anyone who tries to downplay MK Ultra is in on it. You know?
Or you're just a run-of-the-mill skeptoid.
I don't know, man. I think,
Run-of-the-mill, my good old USA would never conduct a secret op.
yeah, I don't know, I guess. I don't know. I think stuff in my head, and then I meet people, and I'm like, damn, bro. There's actually people out here just thinking like that, like doing that. So I'm like, yeah, there probably is people out there that are like, come on, MK Ultra was made up by the liberals.
Come on, bro.
Tell me about your ghost ship. I'm getting
I was just gonna end it off by saying this felt like a toe dip. Like you sort of like introed the topic for us, so we could come back later.
I do want to talk about it more. I do want to go dive into, because it's such a huge, far-reaching thing. It covers so many fucking bases. Like, I didn't know about Midnight Climax.
That was like one of the bigger ones that I knew. I thought it was so interesting that they would like go through the trouble of like setting up and infiltrating like a fake like entire like brothel. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's fucking crazy. You can spend your whole life on MK Ultra if you wanted, because it is that fucking insane. If you believe it, the consequences are that far-reaching. Like, I don't think MK Ultra ever went away. I think they just fucking renamed it, fucking repurposed it, repackaged it. I'm sure there's MK Ultra techniques that are in use today in the CIA. 100%.
Oh, techniques, definitely. Like the tactics of like control. Sure. Absolutely. I have no reason to like think it wouldn't be.
Maybe they didn't get direct mind control, but they got a fucking enough research to do what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, and now the CIA has computers?
Oh yeah, man.
It's over for these hoes, and we're the hoes. You're all the hoes, listeners.
I did just say that we're gonna fucking that we're gonna talk about MK Ultra some more in the near future, and we will. But I wanted to get back to the roots of this podcast. I wanted to make it scary, right? And what's scary?
Okay.
Ghosts, goblins, ghouls. Like that stuff is kind of scary. But you know what else is scary? Real stuff that real people have and can hurt you with. So
yeah, the real malevolence is scary.
So the next couple episodes, I'm going to be talking about real life weapons that are horrifying.
Oh, we're gonna have like a war crime charcuterie board.
Yeah, I was telling you about it. I want to talk about one biological weapon, one conventional weapon, and one electronic weapon. I'm gonna try and find the scariest ones that are real. Like 100% real, not an urban legend or anything like that.
I'm already scared.
Stuff that is in the world behind a lockbox somewhere that they could just take out and use anytime they wanted.
That's so upsetting. The real ones are the worst.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's getting scary on this podcast, bro.
That's some good stuff. So, are you familiar with the concept of a ghost ship?
I am. I imagine it's, similar to a regular ghost, but of a whole ship on the ocean. It's the whole crew, and
it's actually, it's a very specific, very real life occurrence.
Oh, okay.
In which a ship is discovered or reclaimed or finds itself back into port or, crashed somewhere, in which the ship is still completely or like mostly functional, but all of the crew is gone.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Where every member of the crew is either dead or missing from a ship, and it happens more often than you think, especially like in the area of sailing navigation. Like these ships would come into port and there would just be no one living
What's
on
the
the
time
boat
period?
because it's still,
Because what I'm confused about is how these ships are getting back to port. Do they always get back to port, or are they sometimes found just like derelict near port?
that's usually it.
Okay.
Like you find it still like listily floating along.
Okay.
But this particular ghost ship I wanted to give to you is not from like 1508. It's not like a sailing ship. This is from the 1940s.
Oh, okay. That's pretty recent.
Yeah, this is a ghost ship in the sort of post-World War II time period, 47, 48.
The image I had in my head was like these huge like shipping container haulers, and like the GPS is guiding it back to port or something. That's what I was envisioning,
See, that's actually not too far, and that would be a modern iteration. It would be like a tanker ship getting it back to port through like computer navigation, but everyone's completely dead on the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
So before we dive in, I want to know if you played what the fuck are those games called? It's the sequel anthology from the Until Dawn people. It's like the Dark Pictures anthology. Play any of those games?
Yeah.
Like I think it's like The Prey, Man of Medan, those ones.
Okay.
So the Man of Medan or Man of Medan game is the Until Dawn choose your own adventure horror game about a ghost ship. And this is the story of the actual SS Orang Medan that is based that game took its concept from. So the tricky part with this is there's a couple of different magazines that scooped up this story and disseminated them, so dates can sort of shift slipperily, like specific events can sort of slide and wobble depending on what iteration you get, but I'm going to tell you my favorite one. So it says that in the Straits of Malacca, along a pretty popular shipping lane, in June of 1947, the Aurang Medan, which is the translation is Man of Medan, sends out an SOS signal, and the emergency call is picked up by two steamers of American origin, the City of Baltimore and the Silver Star.
Okay.
And they both are, about 100 to 150 nautical miles or more away. So they're pretty far from the actual distress signal, so they know it's going to be a long time to get to them. And they receive the message, all officers, including Captain, dead. Lying in the chart room and on the bridge, probably the whole crew dead. And then a couple seconds later it says, I die.
I die?
I die. So the person sending out the distress, I die.
Damn.
So the Silver Star rushes on over. They have a doctor ready to try and mount some kind of rescue.
Real quick, I thought it was really interesting that there was a part in there where he went probably. Yeah, where he was like, probably everyone outside this room is dead too. Like he doesn't, like, that's fucking nuts.
Like the situation is not very like stable. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
So the ship rushes on over and gets there the next day and sees the Orang Medan in the distance. It has no smoke coming out of it. It has no flag. And it looks like it's sort of lilting in the water. Like it's not correctly floating. There's something wrong, essentially.
Right.
But they couldn't find any visible damage. Like they didn't find like a fucking hole in the side or anything like that. And there weren't like gunshots in it or anything. So as they're approaching, they make the diagnosis that, oh, maybe something happened where like the cargo was loaded incorrectly, or like they were burning coal at an uneven rate. So that's what's causing the ship to sort of shake and rock in this unsafe manner. And they also notice that there are lifeboats missing from the side, that some of them had been deployed.
Oh.
So they call on the megaphone of the Silver Star and they say, hey, is there anyone there? Can anyone report to us or talk to us? And they receive no reply, which, to be expected. Right. And they go, okay, we got to send some boys over to the ghost ship to go on and investigate.
Jesus Christ. Who do you so tell me about our lucky Isaac Clarks.
So they send an officer and 9 good old boys, including the doctor, to go on over to the Orang Medan and see what the fuck is going on.
Now, was it
this
9
ship.
randos, or did they send, like, their best?
I'm sure they probably... I mean, you're the captain of the ship, right?
Right.
You have to,
send
the boys out to investigate
every
the help.
Good guy, but I do got...
Yeah, you can't send the crack crew. What if
I gotta
there's
send
like
I gotta send
demon on
a
that
couple in case there is a demon on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tough call as the captain of the Silver Star.
They surmise a ship of this size, make and model, there's probably 40 people on this crew.
Mm-hmm.
And as they pitch over the upper deck, they find the first bodies lying on the deck.
So they're just out in open air on the deck?
Out in the open air, corpses. No visible damage.
Could you tell me again what kind of ship this was, just so I can get a picture in my head?
A 1940s steamer for cargo, large cargo.
Okay.
I don't know shit about
no,
ships.
Neither do
so
I. I'm Google imaging it. Okay, they look like the Titanic.
A bunch of Titanic ass ships. Yep.
I'm in the world now.
And as they are looking around,
mm-hmm.
they start to suggest that there's a peculiar smell, but they can't really place it that well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to give you the call, or the description that one dude wrote in his diary afterward. Teeth bared, with their upturned faces to the sun, staring as if in fear, sprawled on their backs, the frozen faces upturned with their mouths gaping open, dead bodies resembling horrible caricatures on the ship.
That sounded like flavor text to a Destiny item. That was horrible.
Yeah, this just like a grisly, disgusting scene of just like corpses gnarled, like reaching out and like facing the sun.
And it doesn't give you, and it doesn't even give you the slightest inkling of what happened. Just that like this guy is reveling in the horror of all the fucking dead bodies.
That's the best kind of like journal entry. You're like, I don't understand what's happening, but I'm fucking terrified. And you can tell by the way I'm like depicting this.
Was it dated? Like, was he maybe talking about this a couple days before? Do they have any sense of when he wrote this? Do you know?
I don't have any inclination. There's no facts on it, but I would assume it was, on the return trip, reflecting.
I just figured I'd ask. Maybe I am an investigator after all, Maybe I could crack the case.
So they continue. They continue to investigate, and they just find more dead crew members. They can't find anyone alive, which was, what the SOS signal sent. They can't find any ship's papers. They check the captain's crew, or the hold, or whatever the fuck it's called, his room,
mm-hmm.
to try to find any identification or any logs, but all those seem to have been taken with the people who evacuated.
Jesus Christ. So there's no like ledger or nothing?
Nothing.
Damn.
Nothing they can find to like pinpoint what's going on this ship. But as they are sort of investigating, they start to smell smoke.
Okay.
And the dude who's leading the forward operations like, okay, we're getting the fuck out of here. We're leaving right now. Smoke's too much. Everything's weird. This is horrifying. We need to get this shit out of here.
Yeah. Good call.
And as soon as they get off, as soon as they're back on the Silver Star and they get like 20 minutes out, a huge explosion erupts. And then for the next couple hours, they watch the Orang Medan just drift into the ocean and sink.
Jesus Christ.
And then they just have to go home. They didn't make a rescue. They didn't understand what happened. And as soon as they got off, the fucking thing exploded.
Wow.
The leading explanations. This story sort of took on a life of its own after it was reported, and most people seem to say that there was some underhanded arms trading going on, and that the ship was carrying a lot of nitroglycerin.
Really?
And that's what caused the explosions and the deaths, that there was some like incorrect sealing on potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin, and that maybe a gas leak killed everybody on the ship.
Jeez.
And then led to an explosive environment that eventually, allowed it to explode.
Could just the gases kill everyone?
Not a scientist. not in any way educated enough.
Right. But like that just like it makes me curious. Like, okay, how did guys die on like the top deck in the open air? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or like how did these guys? Well, I guess it's probably ventilated in every room on the ship still. But that's still fucking nuts that like everyone's dead and the ship looked perfectly intact. Right? Like maybe it was like rocking a little, but like, it didn't look like it was in a fight or anything. Were any of the bodies like, I guess mutilated?
No, it said no external damage, no bleeding, nothing like that.
Wow.
Now, there is a version of the story that adds a second half, which I'm a little more suspect about.
Sure.
It doesn't add itself. It's not in every version of the telling, but it says that 3 weeks later, a lifeboat washed ashore on different islands, depending on who you ask.
Mm-hmm.
The Marshall Islands, the Tongan Islands. It doesn't really always specify.
Right.
And it says that the 7 people who had escaped the ship had drifted away. All but one had died, and he, who is called Jerry Rabbit,
Nice.
confessed to picking up illegal materials. Like they were smuggling these weapons, this weapon construction material as contraband.
Interesting.
From Shanghai, from China, and they were going to take it over somewhere.
Wow.
And that maybe, they were held in the boiler room in the tropics, and it was, hot temperatures caused something bad to happen, that a couple people began to get ill in the hull,
Mm-hmm.
and that eventually it just became too much and it just overwhelmed the ship.
Jesus. That's, wow. That's fucking crazy.
And the story was first disseminated, I believe is the right word to say, in a book called Invisible Horizons, The Strange Mysteries of the Sea in 1965. It was like a collection of sea horror stories.
That sounds cool as fuck.
It does sound really cool. I'll show you the picture of it, of the cover of the book. It's like, it seems like a really sick sci-fi book. Here you go.
Oh yeah,
Beat
yeah.
that.
That's the good stuff right there.
And people immediately begin poking holes in it. They're like, okay, who owns this ship? What country can attest to this shipping? Why is the Orang Madan not on any logs of any navies that we know of?
Yeah.
No general skeptoid shit. And nobody really ever has a good answer for it. Nobody can attest as to why these logs aren't in order, why the Orang Madan, which is I believe a Dutch ship,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really have the correct, like the paper trail doesn't line up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it leads people to believe that it might be a fabrication.
What do you mean, like a publicity thing?
Just like a fake story, just like a cool ghost story that was told, because the tracing back of this book finds out that the story was maybe published earlier in 1955 in a German version, and that maybe someone has been trying to get this story hot for a while.
Yeah.
And so it would pop up every once in a while and be like, oh, did you hear about this secret scary ship that like no surviving member of the crew was on?
No, that's crazy.
sometimes it's 1947, sometimes it's 1948, sometimes they land in, various islands, the one survivor. Like, it's all very loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a fun ghost story. Like, I don't give a shit if it's real or not. I had a great time.
I also think that was a very fun story. I liked it. I don't care if it's true or not, because I'll never be close enough to the ocean to tell. Or to want to know.
Are you anti-ocean?
I'm anti being on a boat, dude.
Just in general?
Yeah, no, like... I'm anti being on a boat in the ocean. Like, I can, boating on the river, sure. On the lake, sure. But, like, the open ocean, dog? Yeah, I'm good, man. I think it's worse than being in a plane.
Oh, I have horrific plane anxiety.
Really? I never would have
I
guessed.
fly all the time, and it freaks me the fuck out, and I don't know why.
I've flown, like, less than 5 times, and I've never had an issue.
I fly all the time, and I just hate it. It just makes me feel horrible.
Oh, man. That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
So, it's all good. But well, to bring it back to the Medan, there is a tally board of possible explanations besides, like, illegal arms trading. So I'm just going to list them off to you and tell me which ones you like and which ones you don't like, okay? 1. The ocean seabed released huge methane bubbles directly underneath the ship, and it got into the ship and killed everybody.
I mean, it's a non-zero chance.
Okay. Not great, not horrible. Number 2, boiler system released carbon monoxide and smoked them all out.
Yeah, I could believe that. Still doesn't explain the dudes dead on their backs in the open air on the top deck, but I don't know.
No, that one's the worst because I had a boiler explosion today. That freaks me out.
Dude, me too. Not an explosion, but...
Did your boiler blow?
No, but ours just went down at like 8 a.m. and no one told us until we were already off work and at home. And then they go, we haven't had hot water all day.
Nice. Another one. Pirates. Straits of Malacca are, protested to be maybe not the most safe shipping lane. At that time, it was post World War II, and there was, illicit trading going on in that place or that region. Mm-hmm. So maybe they caught wind of the arms deal going on and hit them.
Okay, I see that. I can see that.
Morris Jessup says in 1955, perhaps the crew was attacked by UFOs. And that's why they were all scared and pointing to the sky in the face of their death. Convincing?
No.
Not at all. And then the last one is ghosts. That's it. Just ghosts.
Ghosts on the high seas.
They saw some ghosts, got scared, and had they all died.
Jesus Christ.
That one
does suck. I like the carbon monoxide. I think UFOs, usually if people want to draw it to a UFO, you have to
kind of grasping at straws at that point.
You either have to find a foreign object, that you don't immediately recognize and be like, the aliens left this, or, I mean, you want to live to tell the story about your alien encounter, right?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
So, I don't know. It doesn't... Oh, man. So when you say made up, right, fabricated, like fabricated as in there was no Orang Medan ship?
The problem is people are having issues finding the Orang Medan. They're having problems like nailing down that specific ship. There is a Silver Star.
So that doesn't damn
is a
it
real
for
ship
me, though, because like logistics for ships are so fucking huge. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 1,000 ships out there that nobody knows is real or who they belong to or who they're sailing for.
I feel like that works better in like a Renaissance era. Like these huge, big steamer ships, they take a lot of production to manufacture and the maintenance. Like I feel like it's a little harder to hide a steamer ship than it is a sailboat.
Yeah, if it was a real cargo ship, there's probably everything on there is serialized.
One would expect, but maybe because they're doing illicit trading, maybe it's an off the books steamer, like the hidden logistics system.
Maybe a Wrong Madon is like their like pirating call sign,
Like they were false flagging it.
Dude.
Yeah.
I can see that.
There's something to be said.
Oh, that's a very interesting story. I like that one a lot.
And that's all we got. There's a little bit of, crackpot, like people really like attached to this one and want to call aliens, they want to call ghosts, they want some kind of explanation, because as I told it to you, it's not a very satisfying conclusion. So like it invites you to bring yourself to like try and fill in those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what like the culture around the story did.
Oh, it was a good one. I liked it. You want to wrap?
Yeah, we can send it on home.
All right, everybody. This has been episode 48 of Mad Tower Radio. My name is Dan, joined as always by my co-hosts Christian and Ryan. It's been a pleasure podcasting for you all today. If you would like to share your story on this show, you can hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Mad Tower Radio, TikTok at Mad Tower Radio. We don't use TikTok. Don't hit us up there. But it is there. I think I made like 2 of them. You can email us directly at supermadtower@gmail.com. You can comment under this YouTube video. Can't comment on a Spotify episode, but you can find a way to get it to us. Our email's there too. So, get talking to us, like the video, comment, sub, do all that good stuff. Give us 5 stars on Spotify, and this has been Mad Tower Radio, ending transmission.
A frequency beyond space and time.
Unspeakable knowledge. It is Mad Tower Radio.